Right, I'm here at the Byron Bay Brewery. You might know them as Stone and Wood, and I am about to take you through their brew room. Let's do it. Now I'm here in the most easterly point of Australia in a little town called Byron Bay, and I'm visiting the Stone and Wood Brewery. One of Australia's largest independent breweries, and most iconically, they brew the Pacific Ale, an awesome passion fruity beer, super crisp and absolutely fantastic on a hot day. Now, Stone and Wood are all about nature and kind of sustainable brewing, and they really want to brew for the season and for the hot weather that occurs up in Queensland and northern New South Wales. And what we're looking at here is their original brewery. Now, they since have a larger brewery out at Murwillumbah, thanks to the amazing quantity they now need to brew. But I got to check out their original brewery that was brewing for the company not only about 2 years ago. And we had a brewer take us through all of the equipment, and we also got to do a tasting, which you can see here. There were some fantastic beers on offer, including the Pacific Ale, a few others, a Brett beer, and even a nice barley wine. And so I sat down to taste my beers. They were fantastic, and then something amazing happened. They let me explore on my own. Here you can see their pilot brewery, but I'm going to take you through the main brewery. All right, we have fermenters on our right here. We have the bottling line, affectionately named Amy. If you've ever had a Pacific Ale in the first, since maybe 2 years ago, you've had it off this bottling line. Can only do 500 bottles an hour, but it has served them well. First of all, let's go make a Pacific Ale. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the milling machine. Okay, so here's their mill. They've used this guy, and you can see their grain and all that sort of stuff just to the side. This mill they've used for everything up until their giant brewery a couple of years ago in Murwillumbah. And once that mill, it pumps it up, all the grain, to their grist holder up there. And we will go check out their brew rig. Let's go do that now. Look out for the forklift. All right, here we go, up to the brew rig. Now, just from the ground level here, you can see the lauter tun and their kettle. This is their boiling kettle. You can see that the chimney goes through the roof, but let's go take a look, shall we? Okay, so here you can see the control panel of the brewery. And what we'll do is we'll start with the mash tun. Here you probably can't see, but they've got the two big paddles. And all they're doing in here is mixing the grain with the hot water. You can see there is the grist container. And this little guy here, which I found interesting, this guy here, they pump the grain and then they pump 55-degree water into that little container, and then it drops in. So they do, they mash in essentially at 55 degrees, and then they raise that up later on. What they do is they then raise the temperature of the mash tun to 72 degrees after 45 minutes at 55 degrees, and then later up to about 75 degrees, I believe he said. They pump all of that mix, all of that grain and all of the mash essentially into the lauter tun here, where they separate, and bit of focus, where they separate the grain from the wort with this lauter tun. And you can see there that they have the big motor to turn the paddles to help separate the wort there. It's then drained out the bottom of the lauter tun into the kettle. Now the kettle literally is just a kettle, and we'll see if we can get to focus. There we go. Apologies for being difficult to see. But the kettle, again, they just boil the wort. They only boil for, I believe, 60 minutes. They have 40 minutes. They only add Galaxy at 40 minutes in. And by the way, we're doing, I believe it was about 250 kilo of grain to 2,500 liters of wort as the batch size. But I'll have to confirm these figures later on for you. So they boil the wort here. 500 grams of Galaxy goes in at 40 minutes. And I didn't catch their aroma addition. But essentially, once it's been boiled, it's really hot. So they pump it over into the whirlpool tank. Literally all this is doing is spinning the wort in, and you're not going to be able to see it, but there's a little outlet on an angle that spins the wort, separates the hops from the wort, and it's still 90 degrees or so at this point. So what they do is pump it from the whirlpool tank into the fermenters. Now we've got a couple of bright tanks here, which I'll come to, there and there, but you have the row of fermenters. Okay, so here you can see that there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5,000 litre fermenters, and each batch is only 2,500 litres, so that needs 2 batches to fill up 1 tank. And of course, once they've gone and filled up a fermenter and it's fermented out, they pump it over to a bright tank, and I'll just get some footage of these fermenters. See the tasting room below. So we have fermenter, more fermenters, and it's pumped back down to the bright tank, which is just here. And you can see, because it doesn't have a curved bottom or the cone or conical bottom, and it'll sit in that bright tank for 3 days at 3 degrees, and it will chill down essentially. So once we're finished, just come back down here. You can see the bright tank, there we go, as opposed to a fermenter on the right. And then it's pumped over to the bottling line. Again, this one's called Amy. Bottles come in, they have their label applied, they have their best before date laser etched onto the bottle. They go around, and let's take a look at this machine in a bit more detail. So first of all, they're cleaned, and the bottles are purged of CO2, and then they're and filled, and then they're capped here and spat out here onto this thing. And that is essentially the brewery. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next Mash Shacks episode. Cheers. Cheers.